Good afternoon, welcome back to Manchester Film Festival. I am delighted to be here at the world premiere of The Oldham and the Sea, joined by some of the cast and crew. And who better to introduce the film than those creators themselves?
I'm Mark. I'm co-director with Colin. Here we have Frank. I'll pass the mic to Frank.
Yeah, and I'm Frank, the cast.
And I'm the co-director and producer. And it's an honour to be here in Manchester, premiering our film, which has been in the making for like 5 and a bit years. So finally to be here is a big relief and a pleasure.
Are there any ideas in the film that exist now that perhaps didn't exist back in 2020? Was it something that kind of developed organically, or did you have a vision from day one and that's what you're presenting today? And also, I guess, what is that vision? Kind of give us a little bit more on the subject and context of this documentary.
I think it started off with, first we were introduced to Frank, and we collectively, we thought, great idea, great story. And you know, the main gist of the whole procedure was whether Frank could, achieve what he wanted to achieve. It was the oldest man to cross the Atlantic, and it was a massive challenge, really.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, we were waiting for the story to be complete, really, and really the story only, as much as 80% of the story was complete maybe 4 years ago. But there was other elements that needed to continue to be the definitive story of the film, really. So it did evolve, but it had one goal in mind: to be the definitive story of Frank's attempt to become the oldest person in the world to row an ocean.
Solo.
Oh
yeah, not with a gang of blokes.
Solo, absolutely crucial. That has anyone done it older, not as part of not solo?
Yes, there's one man who was 74 from Japan who rowed with his grandsons across a part of an ocean. And so I don't have the absolute record of being the oldest person to row an ocean. I've got the absolute to row an ocean solo, any ocean, but somebody has been, as well, anybody can take the granddad along, can't they? So the granddad's been with his grandchildren, and they rowed him across an ocean.
You talked there a little bit about the rowing solo and the nature of that. And for those that haven't seen the film yet, it captures before, after, and during, and the during parts are you on a boat and the cameras on the boat. Can we maybe talk a little bit about the experience as a documentary maker, having no control over that, versus how you feel you present yourself as a character, Frank?
Well, I have to say, when we left Frank in La Gomorra, and we'd given him, Tim and myself actually, one of the cameramen, we'd given Frank some lessons on how to use GoPros. Frank then embarked on the journey, and we waved him goodbye. At that point, I turned to Tim. I said, I don't think this is going to happen. I actually don't think Frank is going to turn these things on, or wants to turn them on. I don't know how much you were listening at the time, but anyway, you listened to absolutely everything we said. And he did the most amazing job. So the crux of the film, the middle sequence with the GoPros all positioned on the craft, Frank even took them into the water. He was all over it, and he absolutely listened to everything we said. So, yeah, that technically it was a huge achievement for Frank to be able to do what he did do, because it made the film.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. What made the film? It's make or break, really. It was easy to film Frank getting prepared and be there at the end, but we had no idea what we would get when we got all his cards back. And actually, a lot of footage of him in his underpants, and but it was he did a brilliant job there, and that gave us lots of opportunities. There's only so much rowing you can watch, and Frank, being Frank, managed to keep us entertained all the way. So there was lots of ways we could tell that middle story, and there's a lot of amazing footage that obviously we can't show. The same with any documentary, but hopefully we've done Frank proud, and also the kind of event as a whole. I think Frank was our conduit, and a fascinating conduit into the world of ocean rowing, and hopefully we've through what Frank did, and we've been able to kind of show a bit more about that world as well, and hopefully people can understand that world, which I had no understanding of before. So yeah.
I thought I was absolutely rubbish. When I were rowing, the last thing I wanted to do was to film myself. The last thing I wanted to do was to talk. I wanted to get on with my rowing. When you're rowing across an ocean, you're going to do 4 things. Right? So you're going to row, you're going to sleep, you're going to eat, and the most important thing is communication. Phoning my darling wife of 55 years, Judith, phoning Judith at least twice a day. Phone her at 7:45 in the morning before she gets up, so she's in bed. I'm talking to her in bed, and at 7:45 at night, so I talk to her for 15 minutes, and I know it'll finish at 10 o'clock because she wants to watch the news. So, but to actually film something that you're doing, it's really, really hard to do because your mind's fixed on your rowing, not I've got to make a film of this. The best moments of the whole film is when I've completed the row and I meet Judith and I put my arms around her and all I can say to her is, thank you for letting me do it. Oh, I'm filling up even thinking about it now because it meant so much without Judith doing it. And it's harder for I must say this, it's harder for Judith than what it was for me.
Fabulous. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, guys. We'll chat a little bit more on the screen. And I understand that the film will be available in places in the near-ish future.